Hello and welcome to the Tamworth FC Social, a podcast all about Tamworth Football Club. I'm Jonathan and I'm joined by Brett and Graham. We'll be going through the club's recent results and looking ahead to the upcoming fixtures. So Tamworth have bounced back from 3 league defeats in a row, and they've had 2 consecutive wins, and they were both late winners. 2-1 away at Bishop Stortford and 1-0 at home to Brackley Town on Tuesday night. So starting with you, Brett, how do you assess how Tamworth have bounced back from that little sticky patch?
Really impressive. If you consider that the fact that the squad's, still very much struggling really with injuries. Obviously, I know we've got Michael Biassi, but aside from that, we've not really got an out-and-out striker in the squad, and we're still managing to pick up winners. I would ideally probably like us to be putting games to bed earlier, but look, last-minute winners are great for momentum, and a win is a win. As long as it continues as well, then we're keeping the pressure on the top of the table. It will be an interesting game on Saturday. One obviously that we should really probably be going for on the front foot a little bit more. But as I've said, with the lack of, it's not a lack of attacking players, but with the lack of strikers, it'll be interesting to see how we go about setting up for that game.
And how do you see it, Graham? Another late winner against Brackley. Is that heartening for you, or do you sort of see maybe a sign for concern going forward?
I just want to say I love the bounce back thing. Reminds me of Alan Partridge there. So yeah, Tamworth bounce back. Yeah, I slightly concerning, but at the same time, just watching those last couple of games, it's that endeavour to always keep going to the end, which is basically getting the results at the moment. And to be fair, it's kind of like, well, as long as we keep winning, then, you know, it's not great for the fans in some ways, for the old ticker, but it's definitely good, you know, in terms of obviously we're getting the results. Yeah, I mean, just watching the game against Bishop Stortford last week and then comparing it to last night, we were much better last night. I mean, Brackley are a good side; they're a good established Conference North side, and we were dominant really, and their defence was very good. But we could have, you know, if we took a couple of our chances in the first half, then you know, it could have been a better scoreline. So yeah, I think in answer to your question, I think, you know, I've got to be pleased with it rather concerned overall.
And Brett, how do you see the style of play lately? Because I suppose there's been some different fixtures amongst the recent run of games.
The acquisition of Tom Tonks is clearly aiming more towards a more direct style of play. If you look back at the start of the season, I mean, even against Scunthorpe, first game of the season at home, you know, they were getting it out to the wings, Shikuna and Akwe, they were running at players, they were getting it down, and they were having a go. And obviously that was working well as the momentum went. Obviously, clearly again, though, as I've said, lack of strikers. They need to find a more direct approach to getting it up the top. They're definitely not lacking in creativity, but I think for the time being, they've definitely taken more route one, and you can see that in the winner against Bishop Stortford. I mean, people were saying that they thought Jazz Singh scored that goal, you know, so you can't get any more route one than the keeper scoring.
I thought he did.
Obviously, it wasn't given to him, but well, it was given to Shikuna, wasn't it?
I'm not actually sure who was giving to. Was it Shikuna? Was it?
I think it was Shikuna.
He scored the first goal, but I didn't know. I thought it was an own goal. To be honest, in the end, it was ridiculous. It was like schoolboy stuff, really. But yeah, I think I just going on what you said about style of play. Like I think last night we seemed to get back to that a little bit more to where we were kind of I'd say 6 games ago. We had Carl Finn back. And he, I can't remember if he played Saturday now, but he you know, he's an asset, having him on the wing, and then having Ben Akwe who was back as well, and he he looks a bit rusty, but there was flashes of what we were seeing earlier in the season. It makes a difference having those decent wingers, because we can't do that style of play that we want to do without good wingers, and that's where we've been suffering.
On Benakwai, I think him coming back now is a great time for him to be back. I mean, obviously we wanted him all season, but that's as good as having a new signing going into Christmas. I think if you look at our Christmas fixtures as well, up until the 6th of January, they're all more than winnable. And then we've got a good break in between Buxton and Scunthorpe away. So having Aquai now, by then, obviously he'd have shaken off the cobwebs. He'll be in form, providing we can keep him fit. I think he could make a real difference for us.
I haven't mentioned it yet, but obviously there's that defeat away to Billericay in the FA Trophy. Could it be a blessing in disguise come sort of next April time, perhaps?
I think yes, because I just think we're getting more cluttered as the season goes on. The squad, obviously, at the minute is struggling from injuries, and we don't want this piling up of fixtures. I mean, look, it'd be great to have a run in the trophy. We've got 15 Conference North or South sides. I think exclusively 15 Conference North sides have gone out in the first round, so we're not really missing out, to be honest, by not being in it. And primarily, usually, you look back over the years, and it is usually a second tier side that ends up going quite far. But if at the end of the year, if we're in the top 5, only if it's the difference between us getting top 7 as opposed to a bit further in the trophy, I would take the league any day.
Yeah, I got to agree with that, to be fair. I mean, I was kind of like, after the game on Saturday, I was a bit disappointed that, it felt almost like we just kind of give that game away a little bit. I think probably deep down the players at the back of their mind must have probably slightly underestimated them, even though Andy Peake said that they didn't. But I think it's probably just given them a bit of a nudge to say, we've got to be on our mettle all the time, and that's kind of what they got back to last night. I think, but I agree with what Brett's saying in terms of the league, and sacrificing the trophy for the league, because we don't necessarily really get financially rewarded out of the FA Trophy either. So it could just be the fact that there's going to just be more and more games, and we've only got a small squad anyway. We've obviously got injuries, so it could just get in the way. And if we're still sitting here in like January, February, and we're sitting in a playoff position, I mean, I think we just want to be concentrating on that. And as a first season back in the Conference North, that would be fantastic.
You mentioned it, or you both mentioned it a few times actually, about injuries that the squad's suffering at the moment. What are you seeing, Brett, as the priority at the moment if they were to bring some extra players in?
Strikers. We just need something to balance it out a little bit. I'm not really sure Guyassi's got anything extra that we need. That says, same in the Premier League, isn't it? No one wants to give up their strikers. They're hard to come by. So sometimes, especially at that level, you've got to think, do you just clutter the squad up with more people that you don't really need to give other players a bit of a rest? Or do you keep going with what it is? But I think, strikers. The rest of the team, to be honest, I think there's strength there. I just think we've got nothing at all really going forward. Well, nothing to finish.
Yeah, that's our Achilles heel, really. I think it's been evident the last 6-7 games, even maybe going back further when we were just still, before the injuries kind of. I think Ty Deacon, he works really, really hard, really, really hard. But I think it's a bit tough for him up there at times, just being on his own at the top. And I think we just need another option, really. Alex Jones, I think he's out injured now. He's just never really hit it off for us, unfortunately. Don't know if it's the way, the style of play and stuff. And then I don't know where Dan Creaney is. He seems to have been injured for ages, but it'd be good to have him back. But I think, having another permanent option as a striker and a good quality striker. If we're serious about, trying to attack this league at the top end of it, then I think we need a proven striker. That's obviously going to cost money, but that's what I think that, we've got to put the money where our mouth is, really.
Talking about potential ins, there's been reports this week of a potential player leaving the club. Several outlets have talked about Jamie Jellis being linked with a move to football league teams, including Wycombe, Peterborough, and Notts County. Brett, are you surprised, first of all, that these reports are sort of doing the rounds now?
No, because I think Jamie Jellis is a cracking player. I think he was a great addition to the squad last season. The goal he scored, really, which was the goal that sent us up, because at the time it was very much neck and neck with Colville. So when he scored the to go 3-0 up at Redditch, that goal was an absolute firecracker. I just think he's all round a really, really talented player. And could he go on and do a job for those club? Absolutely, yes. I mean, obviously he's come from the league at some point in the past at Stevenage. Absolutely, not surprised.
Yeah, I think he's probably. I mean, there's a lot of good players in that team at the moment, but he's definitely up there. He's really consistent. He's just, his work rate is immense. He's just runs and works for everything. I call him Mr. Tamworth because I think he's starting to. He just epitomises what that team is about, really, which is just graft and hard work, and he looks a cut above, to be perfectly honest, at the moment. And I've no wonder he's got interest from football league clubs. And if he does go, then yeah, fair play to him.
Is there anything feasibly that, I would imagine this is quite a hard move to turn down if you're in his position right now. Is there anything Tamworth can sort of do or, do to entice him to stay, maybe see out the promotion push at least?
I think probably not, to be honest. I think, why would you as well? Why would you wait and risk falling out of favour next season or getting injured?
I mean, if I was him, I'd take it probably. It makes massive sense. He's gonna. I mean, I don't know what his circumstances are outside of football, but if you've been offered a full-time, contract and is, I think, as high as League One, club's looking at in Peterborough, they've got a bit of a way about them with bringing in non-league players before. Their chairman seems to like doing that. So that I don't, potential could be a good move for him, something like that. But obviously don't want him to go. I think the only way Tamworth maybe could try and keep him is to talk about their own ambitions. But I don't know. I don't know about that. I think that would be. I think he's got to take up an offer there if it comes. I'd say it's got to be right for Tamworth though. They've got to really work to get a good fee for him if it would happen. Shall
we have a little look ahead to the next match for Tamworth? So Kings Lynn at home. Kings Lynn 21st in the National League North, just inside the relegation zone. They lost 2-0 away to Scarborough on Tuesday, but they've actually had a bit of a sort of mixed November. Couple of decent wins, 3-1 at home to Scunthorpe, 2-1 away to Rushall. Drew then at Peterborough Sports, and they lost at home to Spennymoor Town. They also went out of the FA Trophy at the weekend as well. Tamworth, though, obviously first place in the league still, but it's still really tight at the top. The top three, Tamworth, then Scunthorpe, 1 point behind, and South Shields, 2 points behind Tamworth. Graham, what's your prediction for the Kings Lynn home match?
I think this is going to be tougher than what we think. They brought in the Curzon Ashton manager not that long ago, and they've had a bit of a turnaround in sort of their results. I think they're probably. I mean, they were in the playoff semi-final, I believe, last season. So I know they had a turn. I think they might have had a turnaround of players in the summer and stuff. So I think it's going to be tougher than what people think. They obviously beat Scunthorpe a couple of weeks ago, did us a favour there. We are at home, though. Our home record is good. We don't concede that many at home. So I think, based on what we saw the other night, and if we play with that same mentality, I think it will be 2-0 to Tamworth.
I think they're capable of scoring goals. You can see that with the results that they've had. They travel really well, usually, Kings Lynn as well. They'll bring a big following. And there's no love lost between Tamworth and Kings Lynn either. So, obviously, geographically, is very far. They are quite fierce rivals. So that'll add a bit of spice to it. So, that said, I can see Tamworth winning, so I'm going to go for 2-1. If we'd have had strikers, I would probably have said a little bit more, but I think 2-1.
We've got to be confident now. We're top of the table. We've proved that we can compete with anyone in this league now. I mean, that's from the, playing a team like Brackley last night, established, always near the top. I mean, and we were completely dominant. We were always in control of that game. I don't think Brackley even had a proper shot on goal, to be perfectly honest. So we've got to be confident. So yeah, I think the style of play hasn't really changed since the start of the season. Really, I think it's just that in the last 7 or 8 games where we've had players missing, and it's just that style struggled a little bit, and we've kind of resorted a bit more to like long ball instead of like passing. And I think as long as we stick to our guns, then yeah, I can see us getting a decent result on Saturday. I'd have no idea how Kings Lynn actually play, but I'm just basing on their manager who was at Curzon. Curzon were a solid side. They seem to have carried on even since that I think it's Adam Lakeland has gone to Kings Lynn. So yeah, I think it's going to be tough. But I think we just got to play our game now, and not worry about others. Because if we play our game, then I think we're capable of beating anyone now in this league.
Win on Saturday, and we've got some great momentum then going into what could be a really, really positive Christmas for us. We've got Kings Lynn, and then those games that we've got for Christmas, they couldn't be really any more favourable for us. Not saying we should be going into it with complacency, but this is the time now for us to actually look at ourselves and say, this is probably the difference now between what we realistically think we can do. Do we think we can continue to push for the title, or are we really happy just to continue with this mindset of let's just see how many points we can get?
The fact that we're on 38 points, 2 points off the 40-point mark, I mean, still in back of my mind, I'm a bit like we just need to make sure we survive. But we're basically sort of like a win away from nothing to really worry about that too much more, and just focusing on the top of the table. I mean, there seems like this team's getting adrift down there now. I mean, Darlington looked terrible. They lost like 8-0 to Chorley a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, we've got Kings Lynn down there, and then what's the other one? Who's
Gloucester City are bottom of the league. Then you've got Bishop Stortford just above them.
Gloucester aren't really doing much this season. We obviously beat them a few weeks back. So I think I'd still be happy with a mid-table finish, but as Brett says, if we can keep this up, the home form will carry us as well, because I think it's a good place to be when you're winning at the Lamb. So, but with our away forms, I think we've got the best away form in the league. We're top of the away form league, so we can do it on the road as well. So see what happens.
So that's all for this episode of the Tamworth FC Social. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do give the podcast a follow and leave us a rating and a review wherever you are listening. Until next time, goodbye.